The mistake. Jim Carter was an ordinary human engineer aboard the Alliance Dawn, a joint exploration vessel crewed by both humans and the warrior race known as the Veyari. The Veyari were fierce, disciplined, and bound by ancient traditions that few humans understood. One quiet shift in the engineering bay, Jim had been tasked with cleaning and repairing equipment. Tired and distracted, he noticed a battered suit of armor tucked in the corner. Dust clung to it, the plating scarred from past battles. Thinking he was doing someone a favor, Jim grabbed soap, water, and brushes, and got to work. Piece by piece, he scrubbed and polished until the armor gleamed again. By the time he was done, the air smelled of polish, and he was rather proud of his work. Then the door slid open. Sarai, the towering Veyari warrior the armor belonged to, stepped inside. She froze. Her usually calm, stoic expression twisted into shock. You cleaned this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jim smiled, trying to lighten the moment. "Yeah. It was filthy. Don't mention it." But Sarai didn't smile. Her voice dropped, low and deadly serious. "Do you know what that means?" The words sent a chill down Jim's spine. He had the sudden, sinking feeling that in trying to help, he had broken some kind of sacred law. Sarai stepped closer, her hands brushing the newly polished plates of her armor as though they were fragile. Her tone carried the weight of centuries of tradition. "In my people's culture," she said, "armor is life. It is bound to our honor, our family, our spirit. Only one person may tend it, either its bearer or the one who has chosen to bind their soul to theirs. You have cleaned my armor. That means you have claimed me." Jim blinked, his jaw slack. "Claimed you? Wait, you mean like marriage?" Her gaze sharpened. "More than that. It means warrior bond. Life partner. Protector. You are my chosen one, whether by intention or accident." The news spread across the ship like fire. Human crew members laughed nervously, but the Veyari reacted with stunned silence and respect. To them, this was no joke. The Veyari captain called them before the council. "By our law," he said sternly, "Sarai must either accept this bond or challenge you in combat to dissolve it. Refusing either would disgrace her entire bloodline." Jim's palms grew slick with sweat. He was no fighter, no warrior, just a maintenance engineer. But Sarai's eyes, fierce yet strangely conflicted, locked onto his. His mistake had become something far greater than he could have imagined. He now faced a choice: embrace the bond and its heavy responsibilities, or face a warrior duel he had no chance of winning. The trial. The Veyari wasted no time. The ship's grand hall was transformed into a ceremonial arena, lit by blazing torches and decorated with tribal markings. A crowd of Veyari gathered, their deep voices chanting ancestral hymns. Sarai donned her armor, now gleaming from Jim's work, and stepped forward. She towered above him, a living weapon. "This will not be to the death," she said, "but it will test your spirit. If you fall and stay down, the bond is broken. If you endure, you are mine." Jim swallowed hard. Great. No pressure. The duel began. Sarai charged, her movements swift and brutal. Jim barely dodged, his body screaming at every impact. He had no chance in strength, but he was an engineer, not a soldier. He improvised. He used the environment, releasing a burst of steam from a pipe to blind her, scattering tools to trip her, even using lubricant to make the floor slippery. Each trick bought him precious seconds. He fell again and again, but every time he forced himself back up, battered but unyielding. The crowd roared in disbelief. This fragile human refused to surrender. Finally, Sarai lowered her blade and struck it into the ground. "Enough," she declared. "You have fought not with strength, but with spirit and wit. That is the mark of a true bondmate." The hall erupted in cheers. Jim stood panting, bruised, but somehow victorious. The consequence. From that day forward, the bond was recognized. Among the Veyari, Jim was no longer just an outsider engineer. He was Sarai's chosen partner, bound by ritual and by battle. Some humans still chuckled at the absurdity, but even they couldn't deny the weight of what had happened. The Veyari treated Jim with newfound respect, their nods and salutes acknowledging him as one of their own. Sarai approached him quietly one evening. "You risked humiliation, even death, To honor what you did unknowingly. That is courage, Jim. You are no warrior of my kind, but you are something else, something we need." Before he could respond, alarms blared. Pirates descended on the ship, weapons firing. Chaos erupted. This time, Jim and Sarai fought side by side. She struck like thunder, blades flashing, while Jim used his engineering skills to manipulate systems, trap the invaders, and outthink them. Together they became a perfect team, her strength, his ingenuity. When the battle was over, the ship stood victorious. The Veyari captain approached Jim with a deep bow. "You are more than human now. You are Veyari." Sarai placed a hand on his shoulder, her fierce eyes softening. "Perhaps fate knew what it was doing when you cleaned my armor." Jim gave a crooked smile. "Guess humans are good at making messes, and sometimes cleaning them up." Laughter and cheers filled the hall. What began as a simple mistake had forged a bond that would shape the future of both species.